Good morning, YouTubers. I am coming to you from my porch again. I think this has become my preferred spot in the morning. I had a thought. I've been, thinking about what sort of things do I wish I could do, and I came up with an idea that I don't know, we'll try. Maybe it'll last a day, maybe it'll last years, who knows. But I've been wanting to do an album club. What I mean by that is, um, you know, you got your standard book clubs. Everybody gets together, picks a book, reads a book, whatever. We're in isolation, so my communication with people is a bit different. So I'm gonna put this out there to you guys. If you want to join me, I'm gonna pick an album, and as time goes on, maybe we'll look at some formats as to how we pick these albums. But with this idea, I wanted to pick something. It kind of give you an insight into maybe some of the stuff that I like, and maybe this will be an opportunity for me to listen to some things that I haven't really. But I decided since this is a debut, I would pick a debut album. And so my first choice for album club is going to be The Doors, 1967 self-titled release, The Doors. One of my favorite albums. The Doors are one of my desert island bands. If you told me I could only listen to a handful of artists, they would certainly be on that list. And as far as debut albums go, this is maybe one of the best in my opinion. As far as the album goes, it was released in January 1967, before I was born, of course. Well, I don't know, maybe that's obvious to you. And it was, I mean, it was just incredible. It came out, probably the tracks that are the big hits on the album are Light My Fire and Break On Through. Also featured The End, which is something. Famously, title sequence to Apocalypse Now, and really is a bit of insanity, but a brilliant track in my opinion. It features this whole Oedipus sort of spoken word bit at the end, which is crazy. If you don't know, if you don't know it's the Oedipus story, it sounds really insane. Um, and so, what I'm asking for you guys to do, if you want to do this little album club experiment with me, is find some time. And the reason that I want to do this is because one of the things I enjoy is, and I don't do very much, but when I was young, I feel like your teenager years, your 20s are a time to have a minute and just listen to new music. And so hopefully this is some new music for some of you, but if it's not, listening to a Doors album is certainly an experience. And I like the experience of sitting and just listening to an album, cover to cover, track by track, with the purpose of just listening to the album. Try to, if you're going to do this, try to listen to it where you're not doing something else. It's fine. I probably will listen to the album multiple times. I kind of get on this thing when I get a bug in my ear about something. I'll listen to it, kind of on repeat. But I would implore you to sit and just listen to the album. Don't wash dishes. Don't go for a run. Don't do it in the background while you're doing your work, your homework. But set out to listen to it. Maybe I always enjoyed, you crack that album open. And here's what I love about a debut album. The reason I picked a debut album is because I love this idea that this thing was released in 1967 before I was born. That you know probably teenagers mostly ran out and said, okay, what's the new thing? What do I got to get? What are people talking about? And you grab that album, you peel the cellophane off of it, you open it up, you look at the artwork, you pop the thing on, you read the lyrics, you consume what that album is. And so I'd encourage you to try that. Like, I'm trying to put myself in that mode and think about, so I love this idea, and I love getting this mindset, like, this was the first sound you heard from this, what we now know is an incredible band. At least that's my opinion. I think it's an opinion held by most. This album was, I think it's number 2 on Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time. It's in the Library of Congress, National Recording Registry for significance. It was, I think it peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200. So it's an album that, like, right out of the gate was just fire, and everybody went, "Whoa, okay, what is this? Like, this is the thing now that I have to consume." And interesting, I'm gonna say something off the cuff that maybe we can't back up, but I feel like most, if many or most, um, artists that have great debut albums have this like short period of just supernova impact. They also tend to be the ones that burn out very quickly, and the Doors certainly were that. I think Morrison dies in '71. At the age of 27, when he recorded this album, and he and most of the band were, in that 20, 21. I think maybe Densmore or Manzarek were the oldest, and they couldn't have been more than 24, I think. So a bunch of young guys that of course, saw great success, and then it ends tragically. At least for Morrison, it does. And so, and I find that a lot of bands don't have a lot of staying power that have these like really enormous success early, but at the same time, we get these moments in time of just incredible, whatever, art, pop culture, whatever you want to call it. I will say that I think I am perpetrating maybe the laziest YouTube channel on the internet. I'm just going to point a camera at myself and say things. Maybe every now and then I'll muster up the energy to put like a little title screen or something, but haven't really gotten there yet. So I'm just talking at a camera, and I'm not trying to act like a music critic here. What I'm really mostly after is like, I don't know, just experiencing some music and, kind of what feeling I get. I'm mostly about, when I listen to music, what mood does it put me in, or what mood does it support? Where is this music good for me? And so that's one of the things, like, if you want to have a discussion or you want to put something in the comments, I'd like to focus on, like, what is this album good for? What does it do to you? What places it put you in? What's the feel of this thing? And I think I already have some thoughts about, this album. I've listened to it a lot of times, but I'm going to listen to it with some intention, and try to articulate those things to the best that I can. I'm kind of an oaf, so take whatever I say with a grain of salt, but I think there is some importance to music. To me, it has to do one of a few things, and this I would definitely categorize as a mood album, something that puts me in a certain headspace and place and has a certain feeling. I think that there are albums that say a significant thing, that are, the thing I love about it is that sound that you get from an album is a snapshot of a time or a feeling. It's something that the written word can't really do, and even video and audio don't really do, is necessarily give you that feeling and sound of a time that music can. Music is kind of unique in that, we can listen to a piece of music that was penned, hundreds of years ago, when we don't have video and audio and things like that. And this is why I'm impressed by classical music. That it gives you a sound that in many cases is hundreds of years old, and gives you a little glimpse into history. And so, for those of you, particularly those of you that are younger and maybe you've never listened to the Doors before, I'd encourage you to jump in there and listen. And then I'll probably take a week on this and then follow up. I've got a couple of my buddies that I might try to include on this. We'll see. Maybe nobody cares to do what I want to do. And that's okay. That's okay if nobody listens to this anyway. It's just sort of something I'm putting out there in the world. So be good, everybody. Listen to The Doors' 1967 debut album, self-titled The Doors.